Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, Odell Beckham Jr. Is this the Ravens we're talking about, or my fantasy team from 5 years ago? Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garrett9, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about the news that just broke a couple of minutes ago. Dalvin Cook officially joining the Baltimore Ravens. Earlier this week, the New York Jets, after a disappointing season, released Cook. They put him on waivers. No one claimed him on waivers with that contract, but once he cleared waivers, the Ravens decided to sign him to a one-year deal and make him a member of the team as they look to make a playoff push. I just want to give my quick thoughts on Dalvin Cook going to Baltimore as they look to make a playoff run. Now, obviously, this has been a rough season for Dalvin Cook. If you look at all the numbers, they've been the worst that he's ever had. And it's not just the numbers that look bad, the eye test looks bad as well. You look at the numbers, 3.19 yards per carry, that's a career worst. 214 yards, that's a career worst. 3.6 yards per touch, that's a career worst. 292 scrimmage yards, that's a career worst. 0 touchdowns, that's a career worst. And he's had trouble holding onto the football as well. 2 fumbles on 82 touches, that's 1 every 41 touches. That is the worst percentage of his career. And speaking of the eye test with Dalvin Cook, you have to remember week 1 in that game between the Jets and the Bills on Monday Night Football, the difference in the offense, the very stark difference when Breece Hall was in the game versus when Dalvin Cook was in the game. Cook got a lot of touches that game. He got way more touches than Hall, and Cook just looked sluggish. He looked lethargic, and that was the opening week of the season. And that might have been his best week of the year from a volume standpoint, from a numbers standpoint, and he still looked bad. So Cook has had a rough season. It's only gone downhill from week 1. He even played that well in week 1. He actually played quite terribly in week 1. So this has been a rough season for Dalvin Cook, to say the least. Having said that, this is a move that makes sense for the Ravens for a few reasons. Obviously, you have the devastating injury to Keaton Mitchell a few weeks ago on Sunday Night Football in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he is out for the season. He was having such a good season, too. It stinks what happened to him. You have 2 really good running backs in Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. They can carry the load. But you figure for this Week 18 game against Pittsburgh, you don't want them playing. You really don't want them playing, or at the very least, you want to minimize their reps as much as possible. This Week 18 game for Baltimore means absolutely positively nothing. They've got the number 1 seed all wrapped up. Nothing can change. You've already got some starters sitting out. Lamar Jackson's been ruled out. Odell Beckham has been ruled out. Zay Flowers is listed as doubtful. I'd be shocked if he plays. So why play the starting running backs if you don't have to? Nothing good can come from that. All that happens is you risk injury, and you can't afford to have an injury to your running game in the playoffs, especially now that Mitchell has gone down. But at the same time, you can't give Melvin Gordon all the reps in Week 18. That would be insane. You can't give him 30, 35 touches a game. His body is not built for that at this stage. And on top of that, Melvin Gordon, he's not that good anymore. He had a nice touchdown last week against Miami, but he's only averaging about 3 yards a carry this year. He only averaged 1.6 yards a carry against Miami, and that was even with the touchdown. He looks way slower than he was in the past. And obviously, you've got the fumbling issues with him. He hasn't fumbled the ball this year, but he had those fumbling issues a lot in Denver, especially last year. So having some competition for that running back 3 spot could be a very good thing. Again, Dalvin Cook, he might be washed at this point. But at the same time, he was a 4-time Pro Bowl running back from 2019 to 2022. So maybe there is something left in the tank. I don't know. It's a very low-risk, high-reward situation. Again, I don't think he's going to play a whole lot in the playoffs. He might get 1 or 2 touches a game in the postseason. But this is a move designed primarily for Week 18. You do not want to give Melvin Gordon all the reps, and you want to rest guys like Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. If you can rest your starters whenever you can, that is a good sign. So you figure Cook is going to play a bit in Week 18. Melvin Gordon gets the start, but Dalvin Cook gets a few reps to carry the load for Melvin Gordon when he is tired and fatigued. And then Cook maybe overtakes Melvin Gordon for that number 3 running back spot, depending on how it's going. But I don't expect this move to be a big impact move, but at the same time, it's a low-risk, super high-reward play for Baltimore, especially after the injury that happened to Mitchell a few weeks ago. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Dalvin Cook is going to make an impact for the Ravens? Do you like the signing? Do you think the Jets made the right move in letting him go? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. And on top of that, join my main channel, Jared Garrett9, where we talk all things NFL all the time. Until next time, this is Jared Garrett9 signing off, and as always, go Jags.